Okay, so with
Yeah.
all of that, Howard,
Yes.
and those kids being so well versed,
Hmm.
probably more so than many citizens outside of DC,
Right.
what was their interaction like? Did this, because one of the things I
Yes.
actually paint a scene, one of the reasons I've done these three novels
Right.
is starting with the McCarthyism one,
Hmm.
was thinking very much about the trickle down impact of all this political
Yeah.
rhetoric and divisive language and
Hmm.
the polarization and the inculcation of distrust, right?
Right.
Right as young people are beginning to form their worldviews
Mhm.
and I was able to use a scene, actually, I put it at Georgetown University where the kids are watching uh, Nixon's second address to the nation, where he
Right.
basically
Mm.
says, enough is enough. I'm not being able, you're keeping me from doing the important business of the
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
country. And because I remembered a really heated exchange among my middle school friends, and the whole idea of like they should just be thinking about school and their right,
Right.
their own rites of passage and all that,
Hmm.
not stuff, and to be their relationships being tainted by it. So, with
Yeah.
that, sorry, that long lead in, what did you
Yes.
experience
I
there?
mean, when I talk to the kids who are now, of course,
Right.
practically 70, when I talk to them, and in preparation for this, I did talk to a few, Ned
Okay.
Farquhar and some others. Uh, and it sort of depended on who they were. If they were political, yes, it played a large part in their life. The government club meetings roiled, and and there was shouting going back and forth. But Jack McCune, Gentleman Jack, as he was known, would have settled it all down and brought it back. It was not universal, but to go to work on the morning after the Saturday, well, the 2 days after the Friday night massacre, to go to work on that next Monday. I mean, you sort of expected to see blood in the hallways of the school because there are a lot of people involved in that who had connections to St. Albans School. So you were
Yes.
never immune from the whole thing, I think. I mean, you picked up the post and there was the father of somebody you knew, occasionally the mother of somebody you knew involved in these things.
Okay, let me stop you right there,
Yeah.
Howard, and ask you, as a young teacher, you mentioned a gentleman, Jack,
Yes.
maintaining calm in the government club. I want to come back
Yes.
to that. I want to come back to that. But you, as this,
Hmm.
English teacher, I get perhaps head of the department at that point, but you're young. You're not that much older than these kids. And
You're right.
there you are Monday after the Saturday
Mhm.
Night Massacre weekend, basically. What are you thinking as you're walking into that
It's
classroom?
an interesting question, trying to figure out how the heck to handle it, trying to figure out because it was easy in those days to just let a class degenerate into argument and BS.
Right.
Because everybody wanted to, they wanted to avoid the lesson plan basically. And if you gave them a chance,
Sure.
you'd have a lot of fun, but you couldn't get a heck of a lot done, which was your goal. So it was a hard thing to balance out. And sometimes I succeeded and sometimes I failed. And sometimes I just said, "Oh, the heck with it. It's too important. You have to talk about it." Um, but for the most part, you had a lot to get through, and these were bright kids, and they were all prepping for wherever they were going to go. It was a lot easier in those days to get into the places
Right.
St. Albans School kids are supposed to go. But SATs were important, AP courses were important, all that sort of stuff. So there's a kind of a balance between ambition, future plans, and just letting it roil. And it was easy to let it roil, and once you did, it was hard to control it because any class would have people from both sides of the aisle, and they were only too happy to go at each other. In
That's
in terms of shouting matches, it was more commonly in the faculty lounge between younger faculty and older faculty, I have to say.
really, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Uh, and that was those were sort of ugly events because there was a natural sort of there were two camps of faculty, and some had been there for forever and forever, very conservative people. And then there were a bunch of us who, frankly, some of us were there because we were trying to avoid the draft. So we'd already kicked in which side we were on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so, and those would sometimes become quite loud, I have to say.
Really.
I suspect on more than one occasion, boys stood outside that faculty lounge and had a good listen.
That's so.
Yeah.
When you decided, for instance, to go ahead and let them, that it was too important, that,
Yes. Yeah.
the big events are happening around them, how did you control the conversation, or did you just kind of let it free flow? Do you remember? And
That's a very good question. I don't think I tried to structure it particularly. I probably should have done a better job of that. But I think, for example, the Monday after Friday Night Massacre, I was simply still too emotional myself. Again, I was not quite 30, and I were probably just 30, and I think I was probably too emotional myself to do a very good job of structuring it. I'm sure Jack McCune structured it beautifully. Uh, but I didn't have that capacity or that desire to. I think I just wanted to let it flow, because I thought it'd be a purging 50 minutes. Whether it was for most kids or not, I really don't know.